Upfront and Outspoken with Bob Williams. If you love the Constitution,
man is not free unless government is limited.
if you love freedom,
As government expands, liberty contracts.
if you believe in personal responsibility, if you believe America is still the greatest nation on earth, then get ready for an experience you'll never forget. This is Upfront and Outspoken. Here's your host, Bob Williams.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white, and
And welcome back. This is Upfront Outspoken. Of course, I'm your host, Bob Williams, with you on this Wednesday. What can I tell you? I want to remind everybody before I bring my guest in that coming up here tomorrow, starting at 6 a.m. Central Time, I'm going to be having a special 2-hour roundtable discussion with none other than IQ Al-Razuli. So if you want to be part of that conference, all you have to do is send us an email to kkrp1610@yahoo.com with your Skype information. We will get you on the panel, which includes Ed Till, author activist Jonathan Wolfman, author Arjuna Krishna, and along with Zena, who happens to be a lady in Baghdad. All right, let's get into it. On Skype. Yes, on Skype. We had a little difficulty last week, but we're hoping we got it resolved. Is Dayna VanHauen, and I hope I pronounced her last name right. I'm no good at that. She is the president and co-founder of G.H.O.S.T, a paranormal society in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Welcome back to the program, Dayna.
Hi, Bob. How are you today?
I'm doing good, but you know, like we said off air, you've had a little bit of a throat issue, so we'll try to make it as easy as we can. How's that?
All right. Well, I've got tons of water and some meds here, so hopefully I'll make it through this.
I think you will. Now, Dayna, last week, like I said, we had a gremlin. It definitely got into the system. Yeah. Tell us about G.H.O.S.T and the overall goals that G.H.O.S.T has.
Well, G.H.O.S.T is my new group. It's an acronym for Ghost Hunters Oklahoma Surveillance Team. There's currently a board members of 9 members. And we're basically a group of like-minded individuals that decided that, what the heck, let's get together and make this a group of it for the thrills and the interests of hunting paranormal activity.
Now, in your paranormal activity, to get the group started, you had to have some underlying reason for starting it other than, well, let's just start this thing. What really brought you guys together? I mean, was it a common goal, or was it something that you guys knew from a very young age that you want to study paranormal, or what was it?
Well, a few of us have actually had, grew up with what they call the gift, the sensing and the sighting and whatever of the said entities, and some of them are just downright interested. The group was basically first consisted of the 3 of us. There's me and the vice president and the treasurer, and we used to go on hunts all the time, and we just kept talking about getting together and making a group. And so one day I was like, well, okay, I'm just gonna initiate this thing, and I made a Facebook group. And we basically said, whoever's interested, could come in this group. And overnight, there was the response of the 41 members overnight was a little overwhelming. And then from there, we had specific people that we picked out of that group that we either personally knew or had something to bring to the table, basically. And so that's how it became the 9 official members, and then we have rotating investigators.
Now, your investigators, give us a critique of when you get a call that someone says, well, I might have paranormal activity in my home. what procedures do you go through in order to not only get in there, but to let the owner say, this is a natural thing or this is paranormal? What's the procedure you use?
Well, first off, we have a good communication with whoever's calling us, and of course we have forms that we pick out or we have fill out that not only cover all liability issues and whatnot, but we get the history of the location, and we're more than happy to check out any location, whether it's a private home or if it's a actual big location, and we go with what could possibly cause such activity, whether it's be the history or the imprint of what's there, or if it's just sometimes things happen with just too much electricity in the air or certain buildups, and we go from there.
Now, how do you determine if indeed this is a paranormal activity, in comparison to a, natural occurring? Because, I talked to several people and they said that there's a very, very fine line because on this. How do you make that final determination that what is going on is indeed paranormal?
Well, we go by the process of debunking. We go what's there, what's what was the history there, and sometimes there's good explanation of such things, and and other times there's not, and when there's not, that's when our equipment comes in handy.
Now, the equipment you're talking about, you want to give us a little bit of a rundown on the types of equipment and what they're designed to do?
Absolutely. We have a good selection of equipment, and we're always gaining more equipment as well. But basically, we start with the EMF detectors. We have REM pods. We have spirit boxes, the ELF meter, K2 meters.
Okay, whoa, back up here. Back up here a minute. Because there's probably going to be a lot of listeners out there that have no idea. What is an EMF? What's all this? Kind of break it down for us a little bit, would you please?
Absolutely. The EMF detector is an instrument for measuring electromagnetic fields. You actually seen those on TV a lot with the national groups you see. And basically you use that to, when you go in there, you can pick up the electromagnetic fields. They'll pick up, give us the signal. The REM pods are little telescopic antennas to radiate to its own independent magnetic field around the instrument. These are the ones that will produce the LED lights, and based on the source and proximity and strength of the EM distortion of the time. And then we have the spirit boxes. That's a device for contacting spirits through the use of radio frequency. They're using electronic medium for the purpose of the direct communication for the spirit. So it gives the spirits the ability to talk out loud to us. And then, of course, we have all of our night vision cameras, which captures any movement or what they call orbs.
Now, there's always been a question in a lot of people's minds that, they say that a spirit can move a piece of furniture across the room, or that. Is that a reality, or is a spirit or a ghost simply a manifestation of energy?
It's been a very questionable thing. From my experiences, yes, I've seen things be moved. I don't know about picking up giant pieces of things thrown across the room, but some people have seen or claim to have seen such activity. So far, I've yet to see anything that big being moved. As far as small, minor things being moved, or the gust of wind, or something like that, I have more experiences with that.
Now, we've also seen, everybody that's, watched the movies and watched this have seen that, there's times, especially, the movie that comes to mind is The Exorcist, is that, when you go into a room, suddenly it becomes extremely cold or it's extremely hot. Are those realistic events that could occur with the paranormal, or is this just somebody's overblown imagination?
Definitely, when you go into the certain rooms, there's definitely distinct temperature changes, which we record. Uh, it really depends on the how much energy is being produced by such entity or such ghost. Um, I have experienced that many times, even in my current work location.
Sometimes people will say, well, that's just because of the variance from a heater. It heats room A a little bit more than it does room B because room B is down the hall farther. How will you be able to decide that, okay, room A has a temperature of, say, 68.3 degrees. Room B has a temperature of, say, 66.1. How do you determine that the cause in the variance of temperature is indeed paranormal?
Well, that's where some of our equipment comes in handy. Before we go in to do an investigation, we do what we call the beforehand scope. And that's basically when you scope out the location and you check the temperatures and then try to debunk or try to make note of what could cause certain temperature changes in each room. And then we record those things. And then when we go back in there later, if it's a paranormal thing, that temperature may be different, or it may be either, higher or feel different, stiffer, thinner. And we go by what was pre-recorded. Excuse me, I'm stuttering now.
That's fine.
Pre-recorded to what is going to be happening at that moment.
Yeah, the other thing that comes to mind, and a lot of my listeners will probably say, Bob, why didn't you ask this from the start? Is that in the movies, and I hate to always constantly refer to that, but it seems that this is how people equate what the paranormal is all about. They always see the spirit or the entity coming out at night. Is this the way it is, or do these entities come out any time of the day?
I personally believe they come out any time of the day. Now, you think about a ghost and an imprint, they pretty much exist, from day to day, just like we do. And, the only reason why that there's such a big emphasis on nighttime recording versus daytime is, yes, you can capture more at night, mainly because you got the night vision cameras and with it being dark, in the dark locations, much easier to pick up what may be going on at that time. But I do personally believe that they happen all hours of the day, every day of the week, whatever it is that they do.
The question too is that some, people who do paranormal investigation use what is commonly referred to as sensors, where in other words, if you break the laser light between 2 points, it sets off an alarm. Now, many people will say that is a tool that they use to find an entity, but many others have said, guess what? You're talking about energy, and energy cannot break a beam of light. Now, in your experience, which side of the table would you come on? Would you come on the side and say, yes, this entity can break a beam of light, or because it's energy itself, it's impossible?
That's a really good question. When it comes to the laser, I haven't had a whole lot of experience dealing with the laser personally yet. That's a fine, very good question to ask, actually. I would say it would be really hard for a energy to move laser. But then again, I'm open to any surprises when it comes to that.
Well, like I said, there have been the detractors on this. In fact, one of the people I'm referring to is a gentleman who does nothing but paranormal interviews, and that's Rob McConnell up in Canada. And Rob is very good at it. But the other question that we have in everyone's mind is, All right, I have, for example, say I'm a person that wants to find out. I have a house that I think is possessed. What else can I say? I mean, come on, you got a ghost in the house, it's got to be possessed. So, how do I get a hold of you in order to set up an appointment or whatever has to be done to find out, is my house haunted, or am I going insane?
Well, first off, before you ever even think that you're insane, definitely get a hold of someone, because you never know what's going on in your home. You never know. But if you want to get a hold of us, currently our website is up and going. It's under construction, so bear with us on that. And we're waiting on our official domain to be official. But in the meantime, you can get a hold of us at ghostteam2014.wix.com/hunt. And you can also find us on Facebook under Ghost Hunters Oklahoma Surveillance Team. Or you can just email me directly at, oh my goodness, ghost.team2014@yahoo.com.
Now, if they say it's urgent, I need to call you, do you have a phone number they can reach you at?
Yes, you can probably contact either one or any of our members. If they want to contact me directly, that's 918-402-4649.
Now, one other thing that I have to ask is, I've talked to a paranormal society right here in LaFleur County, the LaFleur County Paranormal Society, and Harry Keaton Jr., who's the president and founder of that one. But he refers to the paranormal as not ghosts, but as entities. Are they ghosts or are they an entity?
Well, the word ghost and the word entity are rather interchangeable when it comes to that. Most people say that the correct term would probably be entity. But the difference between the entity and a ghost, really, is that, a ghost is a traditional belief that's sometimes known as a specter or phantom, which is typically known as the imprint or the soul of a dead person or an animal that can appear in an invisible or in manifestation. As for an entity is more like well, if you want to go from the magical standpoint, it's the remnants of the deceased human. So therefore, it's more of a independent existence.
You brought up something very interesting in that the fact that regarding a deceased individual. So if I understood you correctly, and you can correct me or expand on this, is that if a person dies in their home, or for either through natural causes or unnatural causes, they leave a sort of psychic imprint. Would that be a correct assumption?
It is on most occasions. Not all spirits stay where they died, from my experience. But there's quite a few that do stay. And it's it's definitely, sometimes it has the ability to leave an imprint, especially if their death was very sudden and unexpected.
So, in other words, let's say you go to, I don't know if you've had this experience, but if you've gone into a building and its previous occupants were, well, let's say a bar, and somebody got murdered in the bar, those type of psychic imprints, if I'm correct, are going to be more noticeable than someone who had a casual, calm death, say, in their home from natural causes. Would that be a fair assumption?
Yes, definitely. This was also, I hate to refer back to a movie, but if you've ever seen Sixth Sense, a lot of the ghosts that died so suddenly may not even realize that they've already passed. So therefore, their energies are going to still be there, a little bit stronger and a little bit more noticeable than some that knew they were going to go.
So my next question to you would be, what would be the one determining factor for someone like myself to say, okay, I need to get you guys in here? Is there a particular point where a homeowner or a business owner should possibly call you?
I would say that if what you're experiencing is really bothersome, or you just really just downright don't understand it, or if it becomes negative, a lot of the time, from my experience, people will contact me and then are just like, I'm really scared of this thing, and there's a lot of like energy. I don't understand why it's doing what it's doing. Can you come check it out? And of course, I'll be like, well, yes, definitely, I will. And I'll come in, and I personally will go in there without equipment or whatever at first to kind of get my feelings of what they're talking about. And from my previous experience and growing up dealing with what I had to deal with, I will go in there and I can feel the changes, or without them telling me where the problem is, I try to pick it up themselves to see if I pick it up, then there's definitely something going on there.
Once again, Dayna, our time is almost up here. I want people to, once again, if they have a question or they think that they have these entities in their buildings or homes, how do they go about contacting you?
Contact us. You can either find us on our fan page on the Ghost Hunters Oklahoma Surveillance Team, or go to our website, ghostteam2014.wix.com/hunt.
Thank you, Bear. I appreciate you coming on again, Dayna. Hopefully today the gremlins definitely are gone. Stay with me for a minute, Dayna. Everybody else, you know what that means. Time for me to get out of here. Stay tuned, because coming up right after NPR News, Ed Till will be with you all the way to 4 o'clock. Until tomorrow, 6 a.m., this is Bob Williams. Take care of yourselves.